Last weekend, more than 10,000 people came to the Tokyo Dome in Japan to see the Los Angeles Dodgers. Or, to be more accurate, they came to see Shohei Ohtani, who happens to play for the Dodgers. Fans paid thousands of dollars to sit behind home plate, and hundreds of media members were on the field with cameras and microphones. It was a scene to say the least, but there was just one catch. These people weren't even there for a game. Ohtani and his teammates were only there for a workout, so people had paid to be in the stadium to watch the team jog around the bases and play catch for an hour. While it might seem like a waste for someone like you or me, this turnout is a perfect example of how much Japan loves baseball. And that love is the reason that MLB sent two of its teams halfway around the world to play regular season games a week before opening day. The Tokyo series is a two-game series of regular season games between the Chicago Cubs and the Los Angeles Dodgers in Tokyo, Japan. Before the series started, the Cubs and Dodgers started the week by playing exhibition games against local teams, the Hanshin Tigers and Yomiuri Giants, before kicking off the official 2025 MLB regular season on Tuesday morning. Now, I can imagine some Dodgers fans weren't happy that their team's first games of the season were being played at 3 a.m. local time. But I know that Major League Baseball doesn't really care. Commissioner Rob Manfred says that this year's Tokyo series will generate $35 million in revenue, coming mainly from ticket sales as well as 22 sponsorship deals from big-name partners like Japan Airlines, Konami, Zoom Workplace, New Balance, and MasterCard. More importantly, the Tokyo series is part of a larger plan to grow the game internationally, since most of Major League Baseball's domestic and international TV rights are set to expire after the 2028 season. While the Cubs have two Japanese players on their roster in Shota Imanja and Seiza Suzuka, this series is really about the Dodgers. The defending World Series champions have spent the last several years with one goal in mind: become Japan's favorite MLB team. This plan would, hopefully, lead to on-field success and, more importantly, billions of dollars in additional revenue. It all started in 2023 when Dodgers executives flew to Tokyo for a scouting trip during the World Baseball Classic. There were 20,000 fans in attendance for the workout, and members of the Dodgers organization realized something when looking at the crowd. The Japanese fans were wearing a diverse mix of MLB hats, showing their support for a wide variety of MLB teams, and that's when a light bulb went off. Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto were already on their radar, but what if the Dodgers took things a step further and cornered the Japanese market by focusing on top local talent to sway fandom in their direction? Operation Paint Japan Blue went into full effect for the Dodgers. It wasn't just about signing top players from Japan, but leveraging those players to create a cultural shift. The plan got underway when the Dodgers decided to sign Shohei Ohtani to a record 10-year, $700 million contract in late 2023. It might have looked like an overpay at the time, but the Dodgers know how to do some creative accounting, deferring $680 million of that contract onto future years. 2 years and one World Series win later, this deal seemed like a bargain, especially when compared to the $765 million that the Mets gave to Juan Soto. The deferred payments for Ohtani were a big deal for the Dodgers because it forced MLB to value the deal at just $460 million based on its present value of future cash flows. All of that basically meant that the Dodgers had a lower luxury tax number, and since half of luxury tax payments go to teams that don't exceed that year's tax threshold, it meant that the Dodgers were able to artificially lower the amount of money that they were sending to the league's lower spending teams each year. MLB also requires teams to put deferred payments into an escrow account within 2 years of when that money is earned. It's an old rule implemented to protect players from teams potentially going bankrupt. But since the Dodgers are owned by Guggenheim, a $300 billion asset management firm, bankruptcy isn't really a concern, so the team is able to invest the money in the meantime, further reducing the total value of Ohtani's deal even more. Operation Paint Japan Blue went into Phase 2 just a year later when the Dodgers signed Yoshinobu Yamamoto to a 12-year, $325 million deal, the largest contract in MLB history for a pitcher. The contributions of both of these players helped the Dodgers beat the Yankees and become World Series champions for the second time in 4 years. And if you thought that meant the end of their Japan takeover plan, think again, because the team signed another Japanese pitching sensation in Roki Sasaki this past offseason. Since Sasaki is under 25 years old, he's considered by the league as an amateur international free agent. So, while the Dodgers gave him a $6.5 million signing bonus, his status provides the team with 6 years of club control and only requires a rookie salary of $780,000 this year. How can the Dodgers afford all these big contracts? Well, aside from their multi-billionaire ownership group, they also have one of the biggest local TV rights deals, a 25-year contract worth $8.35 billion, or $334 million annually. But ignoring the size of their bank account, the Dodgers were comfortable giving out these contracts because they knew that they would make even more money in the long run. Thanks to the new market, they decided that they want it all for themselves. The Dodgers are now by far the most popular MLB team in Japan. They might only have 3 Japanese players on their opening day roster, but that's more than any other team in the league. Not to mention, one of those 3 players is Shohei Ohtani, the most popular player in the sport right now. Los Angeles is also the perfect market for a Japanese takeover like this. Thanks to the 16-hour time difference, local fans in Japan can watch primetime games during lunch. And the results speak for themselves. Ohtani merchandise accounted for 57% of all MLB merchandise sales in Japan last year, with the new Fanatic store outside the Tokyo Dome handling 1,100 transactions per hour when the Dodgers had their first exhibition game earlier this week. All of this excitement and fandom is good for the league too. Last year's World Series averaged nearly as many viewers in Japan as it did in the United States, even though all of the games started at 9 a.m. local time. But the biggest winner from the Ohtani mania is without a doubt the LA Dodgers. I've been told Ohtani was worth over $100 million to the Dodgers last year. Some of that money came from increased ticket sales and in-stadium merchandise purchases, but the biggest revenue stream increase came from Japanese sponsors. The team signed dozens of them, including Daiso, All Nippon Airways, Toyo Tires, and Kawa Company. In fact, the demand was so high that the Dodgers ran out of inventory almost immediately, leaving Japanese brands to start buying ads in other ballparks for when the Dodgers came to town on away trips. The city of Los Angeles got in on the action too, thanks to an increase in Japanese tourism. Travel agencies were sending hundreds of people to every Dodgers home game, with the LA Tourism Board estimating that 80 to 90% of all Japanese tourists stop by Dodger Stadium at least once during their trip to LA.
80 to 90% of the visitors from Japan are going to Dodger games, and that's why Dodger Stadium is even doing stadium tours, and now they're doing 8 times a week with Japanese-speaking tours, so it's pretty amazing the effect it's having throughout the community.
There are some baseball analysts and insiders who have speculated that Commissioner Rob Manfred, along with many of the league's poorer teams, will try to put a stop to this during the next CBA negotiation, because the gap between big and small market teams is widening. But let's be real. Major League Baseball is more than happy with what's happening in Los Angeles. As I mentioned before, Major League Baseball strategically set up its domestic and international media rights deals so that most of them expire simultaneously in 2028. The league currently has 10 different TV partners in Japan alone, but with interest increasing across all of East Asia, Manfred has already hinted at the idea of selling an international package. As for who might be buying said package, it's easy to imagine a streamer like Netflix, whose international reach is unmatched, paying a nice chunk of change for all international rights. And it's exactly why MLB has said that it wants to return to Tokyo for a series of games every 2 to 3 years. So whether or not the Dodgers win back-to-back World Series or even just continue to have success on the field, the plan to corner the Japanese market has already been a huge win for the team and the league as a whole.